mysteries, hidden history, and the unexplained. Join William Collinson and Lee Strydom on Strange and Mysterious World.
Welcome to Strange and Mysterious World, Season 3, Episode 15. We're halfway through the season. Got a friend of mine actually coming on tonight, Graeme Hillier. He's going to be giving us his experience regarding a UFO sighting he had some years back. I recall it. This is when I was still working for MoveOn. It was actually one of the sightings that we recorded on our site. It's a pretty good sighting here for South Africa. So yeah, as soon as it comes on, and then if we've got a bit of time, a little bit later, we're going to chat about MK Ultra. If we've got the time, otherwise we'll shift that to the next episode. But yeah, so yeah, we'll be bringing him on in a few minutes. What do you think, Will? You remember the sighting that Graeme gave us?
Yeah, I remember for the UFO documentary, which will be on my site soon, Elusis TV, link in the bio. Subscribe to the email. If you guys go to the website, subscribe to the email, and I'll let you know when the documentaries will be available. There'll be 6 different documentaries covering everything from mermaids, UFOs, past life regression therapy, mystery schools, and just all kinds of cool esoteric documentaries that I've made. So they'll all be there. Just sign up for the newsletter, and I won't spam you. I promise you. I'll only notify you when there's a movie available.
Yeah, and obviously you're going to have a link to Strange and Mysterious World as well.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So, anyway, so we interviewed Graeme for the documentary. I don't think he made it in the documentary. No, he didn't.
Oh, really? It was quite a good...
But it was such a good interview. I'm going to put it on. Because I'm going to make all the interviews that didn't make it onto the
main reel.
The actual documentaries. I'm going to have to put them up somewhere on YouTube on like the Elusis TV YouTube thing, so people can just see the stuff that didn't make it in there. But anyway, so it was such a cool sighting. I mean, what he described and everything was amazing. So I can't wait to hear it again.
Yeah, 100%.
Probably the best UFO sightings I've ever heard from somebody, really.
But it's actually very cool. It's actually a cool sighting. And then obviously for our subscribers who don't know this, we have started a new channel that will be, actually by the time this podcast comes out, it's already been released. It's a podcast, it's a humorous podcast, bit of comedy, not too long, 20, 30 minutes maximum. It's called Two Idiots Talking Shit. Acronym is TITS. So go and look for TITS on the podcast or YouTube, because we're having it on both sides. Yeah, go and listen to some stories. Graham's actually on. He's our first guest on TITS. So yeah.
Yeah, well, not of a UFO sighting, it's of his
experience in Paris. Yeah, 100%.
He had this crazy thing. It was hilarious. It was so funny. Yeah. Put the link in the bio, because like sometimes when you go look for a new YouTube channel, you actually can't even find it, even though you type the actual word of exactly what it's called. You won't be able to find it.
Yeah, 100%.
Just
cool.
Put the link in the bio.
Okay, so let's bring him on.
No, there he is. There's the man.
Hey, we can't see you, but you're like as dark as night.
Hey, you can't see me.
Yeah, did you get some of that
load again there by you? There we go.
There we go, bud.
Jesus, we were worried.
William.
Hey, Graeme.
How are you, my friend?
Good,
there you are.
Good. Hey, you got a haircut since yesterday.
Yeah, Graeme was looking like Bill Maher the other day. He looks like Sergeant.
Bill Maher, yeah.
Hey, man, your hair was cool, man. You should
Sergeant
Yeah, I look like Bill Maher. Yeah. I got actually a complex, so I looked in the mirror and I thought, hell, I did look like Bill Maher, so I went and had a cut.
Hey, man, it was good, though, your haircut. Like, it would look good. Should have kept it.
Yeah, otherwise, are you well, William?
Yeah, good, man. Good, Graeme. Yes, that story that you told us was so funny. I've heard it before, and you told it again. It was even funner the second time you told us.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it, but it wasn't fun at the time.
I know, I can imagine. Actually. But you must see the thumbnail we made. Yeah. Oh my gosh, it was hilarious. The tits thumbnail.
No, I saw it, man.
It's,
yeah, I saw it, man. And me.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
so what's happening, guys?
So,
Cool, man. So we want to chat about that UFO experience that you had some years back, man. For
Oh, shoot it. Yeah, man.
tonight's
Yeah.
episode. Can you recall it
Yeah.
quite well?
Yeah, of course I can. I'll never forget it.
All right, cool, man.
Shit, man. This is really, sure, but dude, this is going back a few years now. This is probably 2017 or 2018. It's just before Irene, my wife, died.
Okay.
And yeah, so how it started was yeah, to this day I still don't understand what I saw that night. It's crazy because I've never been one of these big UFO believers. I remember at work, I was always skeptical. I always said, let me see one first before I believe it. I'm not one of these oaks that are believe in all these aliens and stuff like this, but I think I believe it now, man.
Yeah, because I remember you still said to me one day before you carry on, we were at work, and I was then the MUFON director, and Graeme says, "What the fuck's MUFON?" So I said, "It's a mutual UFO network."
Yeah.
He says, "You believe in UFOs?" I said, "Yeah, of course." Don't you? He says, "No, fuck, man, that's like fucking bullshit."
Yeah, 100%.
I know, but that's what also irritates me. It irritates me so much because like people like me and you, Lee, we believe in it like completely, and we want the experience of it. I mean, I'm sitting outside like meditating, doing these C5s, trying to see lights in the sky, calling them, doing all of these like flippant consciousness exercise to try and call them, and I'm like every day looking up at the sky, wanting to see it, and I see zip, and you got like Graeme coming along, doesn't give a shit about UFOs, fucking doesn't fucking care whatsoever, doesn't even believe in them, and then has the most amazing UFO sighting ever. But I suppose maybe that's part of it, because they're trying to wake up the people that aren't really into it, you know, because they're like, oh fuck,
No, I don't know.
Lee, they already.
Yeah, William, I can just tell you that, up to that night, I really thought Lee was talking absolute out of his ear about this thing. But that night, I cannot explain what I saw. And I even phoned you that night, Lee.
Yeah, you did.
And I tried to phone you, and I said, look out your window towards my house west. And by that time, they had gone. These two objects had gone, but I was so dumbfounded. I was shaking. Even Irene was crying. She was like in tears. I waited up that whole night, waiting to see if there were any more coming. But I got to work dog tired because I thought maybe there'd be more coming. And every night for about a month, I'd go and sit out on the veranda looking for these darn things.
Jesus.
But okay, so what happened from the beginning?
Happened was,
yeah. Gooi. Okay, so what happened in the evening?
On the Richter scale. There we go. Okay, Lee. So what happened was, remember Peanut, my dog?
Yeah. Your what was it? That
that
fat-nosed
pug I
pug?
had, Peanut.
Yeah.
Yeah, that fat thing. Yeah. So the one night Irene had gone to bed. It was probably about
Hold on, before you
about 9:30.
before you carry on, William. Peanut, this fucking dog, dude. It used to do handstands and fucking piss. I've never seen that. This dog actually goes on handstands and you check this off pissing.
Out of all the things you can teach a dog, that you chose to teach it that trick.
Look,
Hey,
it's
I
funny, the
didn't teach
funniest
it,
thing.
bud. Hey, don't look at me. I don't walk on my hands and pee, dude. Let's get that straight. Everyone who's listening, I do not teach the dog. I don't walk on my hands and twinkle. Yeah, sure. I think people probably thought that. Just I wonder where the dog learned that, and they wonder why they were looking at me strange. But it wasn't me, and it certainly wasn't Irene.
Sorry, man. Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, that dog, man. Anyway, so Peanut never used to bark at anything. This dog was a quiet dog. Even when cats and monkeys came in, it just used to go outside and just run around in circles, but never used to bark or anything. So Irene had gone to bed the one night, and she was in bed, and I was still staying up and watching TV. And Peanut jumped up off the couch and ran outside, and my front door was open and my back door was open. I lived in a complex, so it was quite safe. So Peanut jumped up and ran outside, and I didn't think anything of it because he normally does if he hears something or if he needs to go out and pee, whatever. So he runs outside and he starts barking. So I thought that was a bit odd, but I just left him. I just thought maybe there was someone next door that had come home or something like that. And he kept barking, and I shouted to him, "Peanut, shut up," and he just carried on barking. And it got to a point where he was actually growling. So I thought, no, there's something wrong. This is strange. And I got up, and as I was walking to my front door, I noticed on the grass that my grass had like this light pink color on it. It was like someone had been shining a light from far off, but I could see there was like a light, there was a reflection on the grass. So I kind of thought that was a bit odd. So I go outside, and there's Peanut like looking up, barking, and he's running around in circles, barking for no reason. I'm thinking, Peanut, what's going on? And I looked up at the sky, and it's hard to tell, but it's probably about 3 kilometers away, looking east from where I am, from where my back door was, looking east. There was this, it was like a pink, it's not a red light, it was like a pinkish light, but it was super bright. Like really, really super bright. And I just thought someone had sent up a 1,000-foot flare. I know what flares are. I'm ex-military, so I know what the flares look like. And it looked like a flare because it burned with that intensity. So I just watched it for a while, hoping, trying to see whether it's floating down, because those flares are normally on parachutes. But this thing wasn't floating. It was actually moving closer to where my house was. So I thought, this is strange. There was, I said, that's odd. I wonder what this could be. Now, I then thought, well, maybe it's one of these, these balloons, these Chinese balloons where they light the fire underneath.
Yeah, the lanterns.
And they take
Chinese
off
lanterns.
and stuff like, those Chinese lanterns.
Yeah.
Because because I've let off a lot of those, and I know it wouldn't be a Chinese lantern because you would see the flame underneath.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And they're not that bright. You really see this little flame. So anyway, so I'm standing outside, and Peanut, I'm trying to control the dog. So I pick Peanut up under my arm, and we're standing there looking at this thing, and it starts moving towards my house. Now it's probably about. It's hard to tell. Because it was dark. There wasn't a moon. There were stars out, but there was no moon. The thing kept coming closer and closer and closer until it came to the point where it came directly over me. And the thing was, I thought maybe this is a helicopter or a plane. But as it approached kind of over my head, there was no sound whatsoever. There was nothing. And what was amazing is that this light, if you had to get a torch, if you had to get your hand and shine a torch under your hand, you would see a reflection of the torch or something solid, because I could see the reflection of this pink line, the pink light of this object. And you could see that it was hanging off something. It was attached to something. And what was incredible is that as it came over my house, there was no noise whatsoever. And in fact, that evening, the wind was blowing in the opposite direction. So it couldn't have been anything floating, because if it was floating, it would have been flying in the direction of the wind. So the thing came over my house, and it was moving at a pace. It was moving slowly. It was probably moving at a like maybe a medium pace walk. It wasn't moving fast at all. It was like if you walked, you would probably keep up with this thing. But what was amazing was that when this thing came over, all of a sudden the stars disappeared. And as it moved, so in other words, something was blocking the stars out. And as this thing came over, it took about 10 to 15 seconds of this thing moving over me before I saw stars on the other side of this. So this thing was big. And there was no shiny object. It was like a matte. It looked like a matte by the reflection of this red glow. It looked like it was matte. It wasn't a shiny object. It was matte in color. And it wasn't silver or anything. It just, all I could just see was this pink kind of reflection and I can't tell how high it was because this light was so bright. It was so intense. I mean, when I looked around me, the grass was pink. My car was pink. Well, my car's blue, so that it wasn't pink, but it had changed color because of the pink reflection. And I just stood there with my dog. My dog was yapping, and I was dumbfounded. I thought, what the hell is this thing? So now I'm shitting myself. I'm thinking, am I really seeing this? So I run back inside the house because I wanted to go and get Irene to come have a look at this because she's still in bed. So I race back into and I shake Irene. I said, Irene, get the hell up. You've got to come look what I'm looking at. So she kind of mumbled and said, no, she wasn't feeling well. I said, Irene, you better get out of bed now. You've got to come have a look at this because I have no idea what this thing is. So she got up. And by the time we got up, we went back outside the back door where I was. And by this time now, this thing had moved over my house and had gone across. So we quickly ran through my house onto my porch. And by this time, it had moved over my house and it was probably at a bit of an angle now, going away from me. So Irene said, what the hell is it? I said, Irene, I've got no idea. There's no noise. It's big, whatever it is, because I saw the stars disappearing behind it. It's not an airplane. It's got no navigational lights because every airplane has got to have navigational lights, a red and an orange one on the left wing and on the right wing. It's not a balloon. It's not a hot air balloon. It's not I do not know what it is. This thing was dead silent. Dead silent. You heard nothing. All I heard was like the wind and dogs barking. And the funny thing, as this thing moved down, I heard dogs barking down the road. So it wasn't only my dog that was barking, it was all these other dogs that were barking. So Lee, I don't know if you know where I stay. Next to my complex is a park. And this thing moved over this park, and all of a sudden, it didn't shoot off like in a direction or move off quickly. It's like somebody turned the light off. 1 minute it was there, and the next minute this light had just turned off completely. Bang. So Irene's like shaking. She says, what the hell is it? I said, Irene, that I have no idea what it is. I don't believe in UFOs, but I think that is a UFO because how do I explain this thing? This light was such a burning intensity, and the light was big. It wasn't like a spotlight. It was a big light. It was like a huge round circumference. And she was shaking, so she went out onto the grass, and Peanut by this time had quietened down, and the other dogs kind of quietened down. And that's when, so we go back inside, and I'm thinking to Irene, I'm talking to Irene, and Irene and I were saying, I said, Irene, what the hell was it? And she was crying. She was like, Graeme, what was it? Because she could, when she came out, it was probably just over our fence, so she could still really see the light, and it was close enough to get the full effect of it. And she always believed in UFOs. And she kept saying to me, Graeme, that is a UFO. We've just seen a UFO. And she was in a bit of a state. So she didn't want to go to bed after this. So we're sitting in the lounge talking about this. And lo and behold, Peanut gets up again and runs out the front door again, barking. So I look at Irene and I say, don't tell me this thing has come back. Don't tell me this thing has turned around and come back or something. So we ran out the front door, and lo and behold, we look up. There's this pink light, but this time it's not coming over our house. It's probably about 300-400 meters to the north of where my house is. So it was coming up towards where your house is. It's more towards where your house is. And that's when I phoned you, Lee. That's when I said, I've got to go inside to go and phone Lee because Lee will be able to see this. And truth bomb, this thing came slowly didn't come over our house, but it came over. The house is about 300 meters away. Dogs were barking. They were going crazy. And the exact place where the other one just turned off, this thing, the exact place turned off. And that was the last we saw of it. The next day, that whole night, I didn't sleep. I sat outside the whole night hoping to see if there were anything more coming. Because she was crying and she couldn't believe it. We tried to take a photograph. But the problem was this thing was so 300 meters. It's like trying to take a photo of the moon with your with the cell phone. You can hardly catch it. You know what it's like. You can't. You don't get the full effect of it. And because it was quite low this time, it wasn't over our house. I mean, I should have had a clear mind of going inside and getting my phone and trying to tape. But I was so stunned and dumbfounded by what this thing was. I just stood there frozen looking at this, wondering what the hell is this? So the next day, I went to the guys in my complex, knocked on the door, and I said, "Did you guys see anything last night?" And 3 other people there was number 17, 18, and I think there was a number at number 9, were on the front side of the house saying that they saw this pink object in the sky. And they looked at it and they just thought, no, it was a flare, and they came back inside. But they didn't stay outside and watch this thing. They just had a look at it, I think, through the window and saw this bright red object, and they thought, oh, it's either a flare or whatever. They didn't go outside and watch it, but they saw what we saw. They saw this pink light. And I can tell you, Lee, that night I became a believer, because there's no ways that could have been anything but, I don't know what it is. I don't know whether it's some scientific thing that maybe the military is doing, or but that it's not something that I've ever seen before in my life. And I'm an ex-military guy, so I know pretty much a lot about aircraft, the different types of aircraft. I know what flares look like. I know what hot air balloons look like. It wasn't a helicopter, because you certainly hear it, and there would be a downdraft from wind. This was nothing. It was completely dead silent, and it just floated across. It just, this light just came so slowly across, and then all of a sudden it got to that certain point on the other side of my house, and just like somebody turned the light off. It was, when I came to work the next day, Lee, that's why I was tuning you, and I was praying to God that you picked the phone up, but you didn't pick the darn phone up. I don't know what you were doing.
I think I might have been sleeping if it was like fucking late at night.
Because you would have seen it from your house. You would have definitely seen this pink object flying. You might not have seen it as close as I'd seen it, but you would have seen this pink object flying, and you would have seen it turn off because it did.
I mean, you said you said you wondering if it was military or that. It's definitely not our military, because you see in News 24, they went to go see how much of our military equipment was still working, and like it was like 5% of the there was like 400 tanks or airplanes or whatever, and only like 3 were working.
Unbelievable.
And then they got angry and they said, like, no, you've let out secret information, like that. We only got three out of the 400 pieces of equipment.
It's shocking. It's shocking, William. Really, it's actually embarrassing. When someone says I'm a South African, I'm actually embarrassed to say I'm a South African. I really am. But you know what, Lee? Since that day, I have become interested in this phenomenon, because I'd like to know what I saw. And this whole thing about these white orbs, I saw that documentary about those white orbs that those 2 U.S. Navy pilots saw off the San Diego coast when they were doing the military trials. When there's 2 pilots in the F-18.
The Tic Tac.
And they had proper photographs and proper military video of this object. So there's something not man-made that's in our skies, I can assure you.
Well, I'll be honest. If I can recall, when I was still with MUFON, there was a report that came through from Cape Town from a guy that had seen. He's kind of, I think he was at Milnerton, somewhere on the beach. He was close to the beach, and he overlooks the bay or whatever it is there.
Yeah,
You can see Table Mountain across from where he sits. There's that whole section there, and he said that something came out the water from where they were. Something came out the water, like it shot through the water. This is at night, so they could see the lights and stuff. It came through the water,
Yeah.
and then it went up into the sky, and then it was almost like there was it's almost like it created a doorway, and it went through the doorway, and then it disappeared. So they reckon that there is an underwater base in Cape Town somewhere, off the Cape Coast.
No way.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because I live in Cape Town, and my brother-in-law, he's telling me when he was like 18 or whatever, him and like 5 of his friends were on the roof, like smoking cigarettes, like hiding, like when you're a kid, and you have a place to smoke, and they're all sitting on the roof. And he said that they just suddenly saw this like purple light, and it started coming closer and closer and closer, like slowly, closer, and then it stopped.
Yeah.
And he said it was just like a few hundred meters away, and he says it was the size of a house.
Yeah.
And then it said it stopped, like as if it saw them, and then it just shot off at such a speed towards Tail Mountain, went up Tail Mountain, and went over.
No way, really?
But in such a quick, it was like split seconds.
Yeah.
I still, every time I see him, I'll keep on asking about that.
Have you seen anything else?
It's so funny because like he's not interested in UFOs at all. I mean, like I'm a UFO nut. So it's like every single thing I'm like looking at UFOs all the time, and I don't even have an experience like that. And he's had this experience, and he says even when he tells me today, he still gets goosebumps when he talks about it. But like,
100%.
But he doesn't go and like research it or anything. It's like he doesn't have any other interest. And I'm like, geez, if something like that happened to me, I would be like, even more.
Yeah, maybe. William, I can't explain it, but I don't know why, or just being at the right place at the right time. I don't know, but I know that I was. You can ask Lee that I'm pretty much. Let me see it first before I can believe it.
Yeah, he was a heavy anti alien,
totally, very
anti any of
conservative.
that shit. Yeah,
very conservative in
full
my
on our
beliefs.
side.
That's the thing. You gotta be like, I don't believe when you see it.
Seeing is believing, and that night there, and even Irene that night there, we could not explain what we saw. It was incredible.
You said the last when we interviewed you last time, you said that there was a noise when it turned off.
No, there was no noise.
No, when it disappeared, you said it was like shh, like someone went.
No,
shh.
It was
When the light went off and it disappeared.
I can't remember whether there was a noise or not, but I know that it turned off. It was like, it's not even like the light went dim or anything like that. It just, 1 minute it was there, the next minute it wasn't.
And you can see the stars again.
And I believe that this thing, well, but yeah, I couldn't. Because it was at an angle, I can't see the stars through it because it's kind of at an angle. I could only see it when this thing was over me, that I could see stars disappearing behind it. This thing was obviously dark in color. It wasn't, I don't think it would have been like a silver object, because I would have seen the reflection, like it would have been easy to see if it was silver.
But it seemed like maybe it was looking for something, because with the light shining down, and I don't know what
but
a pink light would represent. Yeah.
And there were 2 of them. This is the amazing thing. This is what I was so dumbfounded. I couldn't believe it. I mean, and I said, when the dog ran out, I said, "You got to be kidding me." I thought it was the same one coming back. I thought, oh shit, this thing's starting to come back. So I go outside, and lo and behold, at a different angle and further apart, another one coming. And the strange thing is, they turned off in the exact same place.
Oh, maybe that's where the portal is, or whatever.
So I don't know, but it was so odd. It was very, very odd. Something I cannot explain.
But then, did you have any strange dreams that night, or anything after? Any weird experiences?
I didn't. I stayed up for nearly 2 weeks. I stayed up until like 11:30, 12 o'clock at night on my veranda, hoping that these things would come back for like nearly a month. Because this time I had my phone in my hand and I had a torch in my hand. Because if this thing ever came over my house, I would have liked to have had my torch and shine up to see if I could see exactly what it was.
Oh, exactly.
Not that I think I would have been able to see anything because this light was so bright. It was like a headlamp. Take a car lamp and times that by 100. That was the kind of intensity of this light. And it wasn't like a fire or anything. It was just a light. But it was like a pink. It wasn't red. It was like this pinkish light. It was super bright. I mean, my whole garden, you could virtually read a book by it.
Wow.
That's how bright it was.
And it's so funny because it's like over a huge residential area. You would think like,
yeah, 100%.
Not being discreet, or I mean, what was it doing over there? Did it just want to show you?
You
could
no
come on this
idea.
podcast like 10 years later and discuss it to tell other people. I mean, what was its purpose?
That's something I can't tell you. I have no idea. It was just that I was there I could have gone to bed with Irene and I would have missed this whole thing. Peanut would have gone outside and I would have just let the dog bark.
Maybe a lot of other people did see it, but they just don't talk about it.
Well, as I said, there were four different people in our complex that saw it. They didn't come outside to go and have a look and see it the way I saw it, but they saw it through the window, and I think they just kind of. The only reason I went outside is because Peanut was barking. Otherwise, I wouldn't have actually gone outside. I would have thought it's either a helicopter searching for something, because we've had helicopters over that area looking for suspects. I've often seen them with the searchlight, but it's a white searchlight and you can see them searching and you can hear it. I mean, I know what a helicopter sounds like, and they do have them. So the only reason I went outside is because of Peanut, to go and see what Peanut was barking. I thought maybe someone was trying to break into my garage. And I just stood there and looked at this thing because I thought it might have been a flare, but this thing started coming close, and I just thought, okay, that's interesting. Let me see what it is. Otherwise, I would have gone to bed. I wouldn't even woken up Irene if it was something that I thought, oh, okay, that's a natural, could have been a plane or something. But I was in a state. But let me tell you, my adrenaline was pumping so much that night. It was. Yeah, I was just lucky to be there at that time. Be awake.
Do you think they were taking over, or do you think there was like? What did you think? Like there was?
I don't know. You know what? I have given this a lot of thought, William. A lot of thought. What this thing could be, and if it's not a UFO, then it must be some. I don't know. It's definitely not a South African government. I don't know if you know this, but and I'm not saying this is what it is, but America right now has just brought out the 6th generation. They've just come open with it. The 6th generation fighter jet. It's pilotless. Now it's in the shape of a triangle and it curved downward. So if you look at a manta ray.
Yeah, it's called the blue manta, the black manta.
It's got the wings swope down, it's completely, and it's pilotless. So they have been testing it for the last 4 years, secretly at night from Andrews Air Force Base in the United States. And President Trump, because he was open now and he wants the public to see what's going on, he's gone and it was on the news. And so I don't know. I mean, it's certainly not that. I mean, why would they have an American aircraft going over Hatfield Park?
I mean, yours, when was it? How many years ago was this? Like, yours was like, what?
Yeah, it wasn't even out then. So it wasn't even out. But I don't know. It's just odd. Sorry, guys. Let me just cancel this, yeah?
It's funny, there's a friend of mine in Joburg. He was driving along the N1. I don't know if you guys know the N1 in Johannesburg.
Yes,
it's the biggest highway there in Johannesburg.
Yes.
And he said he was driving along and there was this light in the sky and it came there and it just started hovering. And then like it just shot up at a incredible speed. And then all of the cars on the highway all slowed down and everybody put the hazards on. And they were all like because I didn't know what
Serious?
this thing was, and then they were all like
What the hell
freaked
it
out.
was?
And he was also so freaked out about it, and he went on the internet and he searched to try to find the cameras that were around on those.
Oh yes, yeah. They've got the
He's a
road
very
cameras.
nerdy, like he knows like how to. He works in the IT space, and he kind of develops software where he puts software together to help
Yes.
companies like deal with their data, like their software, what they need for their companies. So he's very
Yeah,
he found the footage of the thing, and then he was so
No
excited.
way.
And but then he went back there the next day because he wanted to show people what he'd found, and then he couldn't find the video
Yeah.
anymore. The video was gone, and they couldn't find the.
Yeah, you probably find someone's taken it.
Yeah, and it was so funny because he's a devout Catholic, but now he's a UFO nut. It's like
Well,
a
as I
Catholic
said, but
UFO nut.
I understand him clearly. I'm pretty much the same thing. You know, I just believe that there are things that we can't understand. That night that's burned in my memory for the rest of my life. Where I'll never forget that night. It's
Well,
something I can't
welcome
explain.
to the gang.
Yeah, Lee. Yeah, you're not so stupid. I am a believer.
You can be his friend now.
100%.
Hey?
You're not so mad,
100%.
Lee. Yeah, you're not as mad as I thought you were, Lee.
It's so funny. I was working with his one colleague once, and I started telling him I believe in UFOs and that, and he was like, "William, that's it. We can't work together anymore." I mean, he was joking. He was like joking a little bit. Oh, I think he was half. Like, I don't know. Yeah, I couldn't really read him too well, but I think he was joking.
But this is the thing. This is what I also believe. But the problem is that when you've seen something, I actually don't really give a shit now what people think. If they can think I'm a nut. I know what I saw. It's not something my imagination. It's not something like, oh yeah, I dreamed this up. I really don't care what people say now. I saw something that I cannot explain. And if they were there, they would be thinking exactly the same as what I'd be thinking. You know, so I really don't care what people think anymore. They can think I'm a nut. I know what I saw.
Nice.
So yeah.
Great, Graeme. Well, thanks
hopefully
so
one
much,
day we'll
man.
know what they are.
Yeah, I hope so too.
Hopefully one day. It's I think the American government's
lifetime.
opening up a lot.
Yeah.
And they're releasing a lot of files, and hopefully we'll get to the bottom of this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
So, yeah, Lee.
Oh, Graeme. No, lekker, buddy. Thanks so much for your time again tonight.
Yeah. Always a pleasure.
Yeah. And thanks for your
Yeah,
appearing on our
lekker,
Tits episode.
Hey, anytime. 100%, but Tits episode, I think it's fabulous, dude.
Yeah, we'll let you know. I think it's going to release on Thursday. So we'll let you know.
Yeah, 100%, man.
Cool.
Lekker, Lee.
Okay, buddy.
Okay.
Cheers, William.
Yeah, cheers,
May
Graeme.
the
Good
force
to
be
see you
with
again.
you guys.
You too.
You too. No.
Live long and
100%,
prosper.
man.
Let's live long and prosper.
100%, bud. Cheers, man.
Cheers.
Cheers, guys. Bye.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, cool.
Graham's was a character.
He's great speaking to him. Can't wait to have him on again.
I'd love to sit around with him like in a braai. He just tells his stories. I think I'd be in stitches for like the whole braai. It's like the funniest guy. But yeah, I know. Cool. Oh well, okay. Bit of a short one tonight. I think we'll save the MK Ultra for next week because it's a bit of a longer one. But yeah, no problem. Cool. For everybody, please like and subscribe. And yeah, we'll spot you next week. William, have a good one. Have a good move. I know you're not maybe you got your work coming up for the next couple of weeks. So yeah, good luck.
Thanks, bro.
We'll chat to everyone next week. Thanks, guys. Cheers.
Okay, everyone.